Great to have you in today, Congressman Tenney. I do want to start a little bit, not about Trump, but about President Biden. We know he was on a campaign fundraising trip this week, and in San Francisco, he sat down and met with Alexei Navalny's, his daughter, his widow. Her name is Yulia, the widow, but these are the statements our president made after sitting down with what I presume would be a very emotional meeting for them, and the fact they flew to sit with the president.
This morning I had the honor of meeting with Alexei Navalny's wife and daughter. One thing that was made clear to me is that Yolanda is she's gonna continue the fight he had underway.
Well, again, it's not Yolanda, it is Yulia. Today, there are sanctions that are being announced here, but many say it will not deter Putin. We are approaching a 2-year anniversary, and that sanctions here are just sort of, a smoke and mirrors, because we know that Iran, for example, is sending Russia missiles, that there is so much strength there, despite announcing these sanctions. What is your take on the president's gaffe also?
Yeah, well, first of all, the president, that's one of the minor gaffes that he's had. He's made much greater gaffes than that. And it's troubling to see how desperately the Democrats are still clinging to Joe Biden for the most part, including Nancy Pelosi walking him off the tarmac the other day in San Francisco. Jill Biden is pushing him to stay in. This is a very, very difficult job. I would argue the most difficult job in the world to do. Every single day. Look, I'm a member of Congress, and this is a really hard job, just representing 12 counties in upstate New York. Right. I can't imagine the pressure on the president. So I obviously have very serious doubts, especially after the special counsel put out the report stating that President Biden was forgetful and couldn't remember that when his son died, couldn't remember basic things that every person should remember if they're certainly going to do this job, and yet refused to prosecute. That's why I wrote the letter immediately to Merrick Garland saying, look, he's either competent and able to stand trial and face a jury of his peers, or he cannot be president, or he needs to be removed under Section 4 of the 25th Amendment. Well, there's no in between. This is it. It's one or the other.
Right, exactly. Well, we'll see what happens with the physical and the push for a cognitive. So let's talk a little bit about Nikki Haley. We just showed a little bit of the folks lining up for former President Trump. Tomorrow is South Carolina primary. Here's Nikki Haley talking about her justification for remaining in the race against Trump, despite these discouraging poll numbers here. This was what she said, Congresswoman Tenney.
A Marquette poll just came out this morning. Donald Trump and Joe Biden, it's margin of error. I defeat Joe Biden by 18 points. What does it do to get someone you like in a primary if that person can't win in a general? That's what we're dealing with.
Some people say what she's dealing with is huge Democratic donors and slim, if no, path to victory, and just hoping something falls with Donald Trump's legal issues.
Yeah, I think that's true. And look, Nikki Haley served our nation honorably. She was a governor. She was the ambassador to the UN, and she worked in the Trump administration. And I don't think this is her time. And I think the more she stays in this race, the more she hurts her future in the Republican Party, because we need to unify. There is nothing more important or more strengthening for our party than to unify. And I say that as I spent a couple of days with our fantastic Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who now presides over a very, very slim, narrow 2-seat majority. I mean, our only path is to stick together. We have got to stick together, because we are the only shield between authoritarianism, the abuse of power and the malicious prosecution you're seeing, our open borders, the failure to support our laws, support our police. Energy is a huge issue in Europe, which I just came back from the Munich Security Conference.
That's right, yeah.
That's to me is the biggest problem. All these things, and the only thing that stands between them right at the moment is a 2-seat majority in the House of Representatives. And we have got to win this presidency back. I wish Nikki Haley would join with President Trump. I endorse him. I wish we would all stick together as a team, because we are the last line of defense to save our Republican self-governance as we know it.
Congresswoman Claudia Tenney, a pleasure to have you. Thanks for your comments today.
Thanks so much.